Anytime God brings us out of our own personal Egypt and into the place of promise, there is always the wilderness. The wilderness is that middle place before we enter into that place of promise. How we go through the wilderness will determine if we will make it to the promised land or not. Remember, God had brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, but a whole generation did not make it into the promised land because they were too busy complaining and worshiping false gods and just doing everything that God told them not to do. What we must know is that there is a right and wrong way of going through trials and going through wilderness seasons that will either launch us into the promised land or it will abort what God has promised us. Job is a very good example of someone who had been through hell and back. But what Job did not do, he did not worship false gods. He did not turn his back on God because of what he was going through. And in return, God gave him double for his trouble. Job went through his wilderness season, but he came out with the victory. God did not hold his humanity against him because he knew that he was going through real emotions and all of those different changes. But God honored him because he honored God by not renouncing him. On the other hand, the children of Israel went through a hard time as well in the wilderness, but the difference between them and Job is that they worshiped false gods over and over and over again, and Job did not. This lets us know that the way to go through the wilderness and come out with the victory is not giving up on God when things does not look right and when things are not going according to what we can understand. How we act during our trials and wilderness seasons will determine whether we will be promoted to our next or if we will stay going around the mountain and eventually never coming to the promised land. Just ask the Israelites and Job. Job got promoted, but that generation of Israelites never made it into the promised land because all they did was complain, bicker, and worship false gods whenever they felt like God had abandoned them.